You ever walk into a room and just know everyone's already written you off before you even sit down? Yeah, that's what happened to me the morning I walked into that courthouse. The bailiff barely looked up, the other lawyers gave me a quick once-over like I'd wandered in from a college tour. And the cop at the witness stand, Officer Dennis Kilroy, big guy, white, probably mid-forties, was smirking like the punchline had already landed and I just hadn't caught up yet. The room had this stale, Monday morning energy fluorescent lights buzzing. Someone's old cologne, a half-empty gallery, nothing special. Except I was 3 minutes early on purpose. Not too early to look desperate. Not late enough to give anyone more ammo. My sneakers squeaked against the floor, and if anyone cared about my black Converse and resale app slacks, they didn't say a word. I didn't bother with makeup or jewelry. I didn't need a power suit to make my case. Just a binder, a clear head, and the sense that if you wait long enough, people will show you who they are. When I took my seat at the defense table, a guy from the other side leaned in, tried to correct me. "Ma'am, this is for counsel only." "I am counsel," I said, not even looking up, and you could see his brain glitch for a second like, wait, is she for real? That's when Kilroy piped up from the stand, cracking wise about debate club and student court, and the gallery gave him a few lazy laughs, like bullies egging each other on at the back of the bus. Judge Lennox finally called us to order. I me the way old school teachers do when a kid shows up with the wrong backpack, and I just nodded. "Defense is ready to proceed, Your Honor." If I was nervous, I didn't let it out. My voice stayed light even. "No grandstanding, no fake gravity. Just let them wonder, you know." I started in on Officer Kilroy, asking how long he'd been on the force. 23 years, he said, like he was daring me to challenge his expertise. "Great," I said, flipping a page. "That means you know protocol backwards and forwards, right?" He agreed, all confidence. The courtroom shifted, people sat up, expecting some kind of showdown. I ran him through the traffic stop from April 6th, got him to confirm the location, the time, even the lighting. I pulled a still from his own body cam. The angle showed 2 SUVs blocking his line of sight to the stop sign. He said my client rolled through. "Could you see clearly?" I asked. He hesitated, tried to hedge, but finally admitted, "Not completely, no." That was the first crack in his armor. The room noticed. We kept going. His report said my client was twitchy, probably high. So, did he run a drug test? No. Sobriety check? No. Did my client yell, threaten, refuse ID? No, and no. So how'd he decide? Probably high? Kilroy fidgeted, talking about gut feelings and experience. My pen clicked softly in the silence, the kind of quiet that makes people lean in. "So, your search was based on a feeling, not evidence," I said. He tried to wriggle out, but the logic trapped him. My client had been stopped, searched, and cited for looking nervous in front of cops, something we've all done, but only some of us get punished for. Then I asked about the bag he supposedly saw under the seat. His report claimed he'd observed it, but the footage showed no flashlight, no bend, no way he could have actually seen it. "Maybe I was mistaken," he said, quieter now. "Maybe you were," I replied, and let it hang. That's when the air changed. Nobody in that room was thinking about my age anymore. I didn't stop there. "In 23 years, ever been disciplined?" I asked, and the judge didn't let him off the hook. Yes, once excessive force complaint dropped. People in the gallery exchanged glances, the whole room humming with this slow realization. Maybe the kid at the table actually knew what she was doing. I pulled out the Plano PD manual, section 5.3, suspicion-based stops. All stops based on observed behavior must be clearly articulated, supported by specific actions. I read. Subjective feelings or instincts are not grounds for a search. I had him read back his own words, fits the type. Always act the same way, just like the last kid. This wasn't about one stop. This was about a pattern, a script he kept recycling, each time with the same vague, loaded language. I held up a report from another case, same words, same scenario. Nothing found, complaint not dropped. He tried to protest, called it pattern recognition. I called it what it was, profiling. I looked to the judge. "Your Honor, this is not about a veteran cop. It's about accountability." Nobody spoke. You could feel the shift. Suddenly, nobody wanted to be the punchline anymore. Then I dropped the bomb. "Did you know my client is a high school math teacher?" Kilroy blinked, caught off guard. No, he hadn't asked. Hadn't bothered to wonder. So this stop, the search, the citation, it was all based on things you couldn't see and feelings you couldn't prove. You never asked who he was, just decided who he must be. That silence. Right there, if that's when you know you've landed a punch harder than any closing argument. I looked at the judge. This isn't about a stop sign. It's about assumptions. Lazy ones. Harmful ones. I turned back to Kilroy. What scares me is how confident you were that no one would ever call you out. The judge cleared his throat. Signaling enough was enough. I nodded. No further questions, Your Honor. I barely heard the prosecutors redirect. The case was already over, whether the court knew it yet or not. When I stood for closing, I told the jury, when you watched that footage, you didn't see a threat. You saw a teacher driving home. You saw a man cooperate. All you saw and all Kilroy needed was a feeling. Feelings aren't evidence. Feelings don't give you permission to rewrite facts or skip respect. I didn't shout. I didn't need to. I just let the facts do the work. The jury came back quick. Not guilty. You could almost hear relief ripple through the room. My client, Devin Rials, just stood there, stunned. Thank you, he said, voice cracking. I thought this was going to bury me. I smiled for the first time all day. You're standing. That means they lost. The gallery buzzed not with jokes now, but with something closer to respect. Even Kilroy just watched me leave, hands on his hips, looking like he couldn't decide if he should be angry or grateful. Outside, reporters circled. How does it feel to win at your age? They asked. I shrugged. I'm not here to feel good. I'm here to make things right. By the time I'd finished my tea with Devin at a cafe, my phone was blowing up. Someone had posted my closing online. Comments flooded in, people rooting for me. Some calling for me to run for DA in 10 years. Others just glad to see someone shake up the old order. But none of that really matters. Not when you know the system's going to keep churning out new Kilroys every day unless someone stands up and says, not this time. That night, the department announced a review. I read their statement cut and paste. Nothing real, and just shook my head. My mom was proud, of course. She saw the video. Her friends sent it around. But I just sat there, binder in my lap, scribbling notes for future cases, already thinking about the next person who'd need help. Because that's the thing about rooms like that courtroom, people expect you to prove you belong. But the real trick is to make them question why they ever doubted you at all. Monday, I wasn't back in court. I was at my apartment, eating cereal, reading messages from people who'd watched and felt something change. Some high school girls said they'd never seen a lawyer talk like that. A mom in Amarillo wrote, "My daughter wants to go to law school now." That means more than any verdict. Across town, Kilroy was on leave, his footage and files under review, not for one mistake, but for a pattern. Quiet, no press, no applause, just accountability finally. Meanwhile, I led a workshop for kids thinking about law. You're going to walk into rooms where people think you don't belong, I told them. Don't waste time proving them wrong. Prove yourself right. Someone asked how I stayed calm when people laughed at me. I said, they laugh when they feel safe. I don't give them that. The class went quiet. Then a boy whispered, "That's cold." I grinned. It's justice. Just dress different. And when the lights flickered across my window that night, I decided I didn't care about fame or being the next viral thing. I cared about giving people something real to see. No teatrix, no jardines justrus. If there's one thing I want you to remember, it's this. Never underestimate the person with something to prove and nothing to lose. Sometimes the ones who get laughed at are the ones you should be scared of. Not because they're loud, but because they show up ready and let the facts speak for themselves. If you felt something listening to this, don't just let it fade. Share it. Speak up. Ask questions. Challenge the things we're all supposed to ignore. Because silence? That's what lets the next Kilroy slide by. Justice starts when somebody, anybody, says, no more. You know what I mean?